So welcome back to Tigers Minor League Report. That's Rogelio. I'm Chris. We got Connor there, and joining us tonight is our very special guest, one of the Tigers' top prospects, one of the newest prospects in the Tiger system, Justyn-Henry Malloy. Justin, how you doing?
I'm very good. How are you guys?
Doing great here. We hear that you'd like to be called J-Hen. Is that?
Oh yeah, so name Justyn-Henry. A lot of people just think it's Justin. So like I've had J-Hen since I was this big. So just kind of shortens things. There is a correlation. It's not just random.
Yeah, you know what? So that's weird. I thought it was a hyphenated last name, but it's a hyphenated first name,
Correct.
Justyn-Henry.
Correct.
I'll be damned. Well, that's interesting. So yeah, Justin. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And as we like to do when we have new guests on, we always like to hear about their earliest baseball memory, and yours is probably going to be one of the most recent, as you're one of our youngest guests ever.
Yeah. Oh no way. What? Okay. So I guess my earliest baseball memory had to be. Oh man, it's probably like a terrifying one. It's funny. I went to the dentist today, but definitely me being on the field and I chipped my front tooth on a baseball field, like just by like being an idiot and swinging a bat. So kind of started off on a rough patch, but it gradually smoothed out over the course of everything. So definitely that, and I'm glad I stuck with it. I feel like most kids probably would have been so afraid after that to never pick up a bat. So
Yeah, how old were you then?
8 years old.
All right.
I
Yeah,
remember how I did it, everything. It was terrifying.
that is wild. Yeah, I was coaching Little League for a little while with my stepson, and one of his buddies, they were just playing catch before the game, and he wasn't paying attention and caught a baseball right in the face. And he didn't want to stay in the batter's box the entire season. Ball came, he just. That's what it gets some people. So no, I'm glad. Yeah, I think all Tigers fans and sports fans are glad that you stuck with it because yeah.
I am too. Trust me.
So yeah, I mean, I think we wanted to just kind of start way back in the beginning with your high school there, your career in high school. We were talking before we started about you being in New Jersey. One thing I was telling these guys, I noticed a fun fact. There have been 4 major leaguers from your high school, and 2 of them played for the Tigers. One was John Flaherty, and the other one was Artie Lewicki.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
I thought that was a fun fact.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Soon to be 5, right?
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. I've seen Mr. Flaherty, like he just came back to like our high school events and like kind of spoke about St. Joe's. But Artie was a guy that like we kind of got connected through COVID. A lot of the I guess like the better guys in the area just would go to this one spot to just kind of get live at bats to kind of, get their work in. And I got connected with Artie through that. So I got to face him being a junior or going that 2020 year. So going into my junior year, and it was just, it was just kind of weird, came into my high school, went through it, he's doing all the things that I aspired to do. So just being able to pick his brain and learn and just, be around him was just pretty cool.
Yeah, and so from high school you go on to Vanderbilt, and you were part of a pretty epic recruiting class there. I was looking up to see some of the guys who were in it, and it's Vanderbilt, so it's always going to be an epic class. But like guys like Ethan Hankins didn't make it to campus because they got paid, and Ryan Weathers and stuff. But you made it. Kumar Rocker made it. Isaiah Thomas, I remember him, and what's it, John Malcolm from here in Detroit?
Yeah,
he made it too, yeah.
He was my roommate my freshman year.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. No, that was a very stacked recruiting class. I mean, just the name. I mean, you're missing a ton of names. Obviously, you can only name a few, but I mean, like that list goes on and on and on about how deep we really were as a class. And what's crazy is like, my freshman year, I was a bench warmer. I just really had to learn. And Malcolm, probably the best first baseman in our class of 2018. Another guy that just kind of had to sit and learn. And I think that goes to show like how really, really good that team was. So I think learning that year was just pretty awesome, seeing how guys went about their business and such.
I actually got to face John Malcolm my senior year. Man, he could mash.
I mean, like majestic homers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like legit. I miss John. I it's funny. I got to reach out to him after this.
Last I saw, he was at Michigan State, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Tampa, went to University of Tampa, and then Michigan State. Yeah. You got to kill it this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Now you're state mates eventually. You know, if you're getting up here this year, then you guys can reach out and hang out there.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. And then you're at Vandy. You're a freshman. You said you're a bench warmer, but you guys just go ahead and go and win the College World Series. What was that experience like?
Oh man, I mean, that was pretty cool. Like, just being able to, again, like that was kind of a year where, like, you know, obviously everyone wants to play, but, you know, being able to like just be mature about it, know that like, hey, it's your freshman year, just sit down and learn from everyone who's in front of you. I mean, the Austin Martins of the world, the JJ Bledays of the world, like those are the guys that you want to become, right? So like just being able to sit down and watch, and it was just so cool. Unfortunately, I wasn't chosen to go to Omaha, so I kind of missed out on that experience, but I ended up going into summer ball, having a really good summer in Newport in the NECBL, and you know, just really, you know, trying to get my career back to where I really wanted it to be.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about playing in the cold weather state of high school ball in New Jersey. You know, we know how tough it is here in Michigan, but let's hear a little bit of your experience in New Jersey.
I mean, it's really just bundle up and go get him. Like, you know, like it's really that simple. You know, I really try not to think about it being too cold. It's very easy to kind of give in to those elements and just kind of, you know, yo, it's really cold outside. Like, yeah, it's cold for everyone. So I feel like through my experiences, I feel like I'm gonna be able to just handle my own in a cold weather state, especially in the beginning part of the season. But it's cold, man. It's freezing cold, and you just bear with it. You got your hand warmers on you. You're blowing into your hands like that, you know, 24/7, and you just battle. That's about it.
Right. It's a long off season, you know, practicing indoors too, and it's definitely a certain advantage that those southern states have. But I'm curious to know, did you have an idea at any point throughout high school that you were going to get drafted? Like, was there any talk during that time, or was it, I'm going to just go to Vanderbilt and go from there?
Definitely like very minimal talk. I was pretty committed to my commitment to going to Vanderbilt. So, obviously, you know, money can sway anyone. But if the money wasn't right, then, you know, go to college and go to a really good academic school and be able to learn from some of the best baseball players. And you know, Corbs and I, like, just because I left, like a lot of people think that Corbs and I don't have a great relationship. We actually have a great relationship. Like, I'm able to go back to Nashville and be able to train at Vanderbilt as a transfer. So, yeah, just being able to go learn. And, you know, I really am so glad that I did go to college, because I really do think that guys that go to college have that much more of an advantage just in pro ball.
And not to mention, you learn under the great Danny Hall, who's been at Georgia Tech for a long time. And talk about the experience with Danny Hall, who's done a really good job in the ACC. And the ACC is a tough conference. Everybody always talks about the SEC, but to me, I think the ACC is just as tough.
Oh yeah. Not to say that the ACC doesn't get the respect it deserves, but I mean, people sleep on the ACC. I get it. The SEC is a big powerhouse. I did that too. But I mean, the teams in the ACC are right there. I mean, it's just, you know, they just don't get enough credit. But playing under DH was one of my biggest blessings. He just really gave me the opportunity to just go out there, be me, and go out there and play third base every day. And, you know, obviously I had to earn that trust from DH. It wasn't just, you know, you're just going to be a transfer and here's your spot. I had to go out there and earn it. And once I earned it, it was like, okay, this is our third baseman, and we're going to run you out there every single day. And that was kind of the mental that I really needed. I'm not really a guy that, like, well, I don't think anyone's a guy where they should live and die with every single at bat, right? You should be able to go with your 0 for 4 and know that I got an opportunity the next day, because that's baseball. We're playing 162 games a year. So that's kind of the confidence DH put in me. And I think that just kind of over the course of, you know, 50 something games, it just allowed for me to be me. The numbers panned out. It was great. I was just trying to be a winning player at that point and just win games. But again, like DH, the Hall family, funny, one of DH's sons is actually an agent now with my agency. So like we have a really good relationship. We never played together, but like the whole Hall family really just like, I'm so grateful for them and getting me back in the right direction.
That's awesome. So that kind of plays into my next question about your confidence. And obviously, it showed last year since you moved throughout the ranks with the Atlanta system. So, what is it like, getting moved up through the system so fast and then playing in the AFL? Like, what has been your favorite experience so far?
Oh, man. I would say my favorite, I guess, so far had to be AAA. The few days that I got to spend in AAA, I got to spend the last like 10 or so days there, and then going into the AFL. And like, I'm a big learner. Like, I like being able to like ask other guys questions and just kind of be a sponge. And on that AAA team, it was just a lot of former big leaguers, Ryan Goins, Jake Marisnik, Taylor Motter, like the list just goes on. And like, just me being able to ask questions and just watch and observe how they went about their day-to-day, their business, and, just being able to pick their brains on certain things. I mean, I'm forgetting a lot. Alex Dickerson, like I'm forgetting name after name, but just being able to be a sponge and learn from those guys, and then going over to the fall league and learning from guys in different organizations. And those are now guys that are, around my age, right? And those guys in AAA were a lot older on that team. It was a very older team. But now, like, being surrounded by guys my age who've, achieved so much in college and pro ball, and like picking their brain, just like really being a sponge, and just like allowing that to transfer over into my game as well.
From afar, the AFL always seems it maybe a little bit more business-like, but it always strikes me as kind of like a summer camp feel, almost like you're just hanging out with all these same people for like 6 weeks. And
it's the best. Like, that was like hands down like one of just like the coolest experiences. Like, it was just so chill. Like, you would think from the outside, like, it's like everything's like super tense. Like, yeah, like everything's tense and competitive and everything, but it's also like that's a fraternity, right? That 2022, Arizona Fall League. Like, even if you weren't on the Scottsdale Scorpions, you were on Mesa, or you were on, whatever team, Glendale, whatever. Like, that's now a small fraternity. So like, it was fun. It was almost like playing in an all-star game every day, right? You're just playing against other guys who are really good and on other teams, and it was just awesome. So I didn't take that time for granted, and I really enjoyed my time out there.
I wanted to just jump back a little bit, because we wanted to touch on the draft, where you end up going in the 6th round, but Connor was pointing out you got a bonus that was significantly higher than the slot there. Were you gonna go back to school? Did you have like a number and you were gonna go back to school?
Honestly, like, I just really wanted to get my foot in the door in pro ball. I really did. I felt like, school is obviously extremely important. You could kind of tell with my career path going to Vanderbilt, and I really prioritized school. So then like Georgia Tech was like another big time academic school. But I also felt internally like, hey, like, it's time. Like, I want to get my foot in the door. For me as a kid, like, I always wanted to be a junior in college and then get out. That was always kind of the plan. I never really wanted to be a senior. But like, obviously being a senior is not bad. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
Let's finish your degree and everything. But like, just my own personal dream, like, I wanted to get 3 years of education and then worry about the last year later on. So that draft process was just crazy. I didn't really have like a specific number in mind. I just really wanted to just go. I knew what rounds, I could be selected in or not, but I really wanted to just get my foot in the door and then just have my play just kind of just speak for itself and just go play and have fun.
Yeah, and you did have a really nice pro debut. It was, like 37 games or whatever. There's not as much you could do right after you're drafted. But then, as Connor said, last year, you really just kind of took off, climbed 3 levels. Was there anything in particular? Did you make any changes, or was it just getting used to pro ball?
Yeah, I think it was really just getting used to pro baseball. I'm a guy that like I genuinely enjoy playing baseball every single day. So I think that slightly plays to my advantage. Obviously, you know, there's some guys like it's fun for them, but it's also a job. For me, like it doesn't feel like a job at all. Like I really get to run out there with my friends and get to throw a ball around. Like it's pretty sick. So I think just me enjoying my time, and it sounds super cliche, like just having fun, but like it's really all it comes down to. If I'm going to do something 6 days a week, like I'm going to have a ball. And I genuinely had fun. I was where my feet were 100% of the time. That's one thing that I always told myself. I didn't want to think too far forward. When am I going to get called up? Am I going to get called up? Like I'm really not a thinker like that. I don't want to, because that you start missing steps in between if you're starting to think out there. So like I was very much so like my feet are in Rome, Georgia, playing in high A. That's where I am, and I'm having fun. And then double A came in Mississippi, go there, have fun. And then triple A, you know, it kind of just trickled down. But, you know, really just being where my feet were, enjoying myself, enjoying my teammates, learning. It's really all I could ask for.
Yeah, and it's one of the things. So being present while you're doing each level, does it, when you're in that mindset, do you set like a goal, yearly goals, or kind of like, well, I'm not saying level goal. Well, you know, maybe goals for each year. Do you set something up in your head going, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to have, while I'm having fun and being present, there's something I'm still trying to aim for something else.
Absolutely. There's definitely goals, right? Like I think every player has a goal, especially throughout the year. Like make small goals so like you can knock them out, and it feels good to accomplish those goals, right? But once I make those goals, like I really don't think about them anymore. At that point, they're gone, and at the end of the year, then it's like, okay, did I accomplish my goals? But until then, it's like, yo, be a winning baseball player every day. Just make winning plays. The more winning plays you're gonna make, the more wins you're gonna stack up. And just being a guy that's playing to win, play hard, having fun, and honestly, the rest really just kind of takes care of itself. If you're just able to just kind of have that mentality, I feel like it works for me very well. Just being present, having fun, and obviously you set goals, right? Like this year for me, like I want to touch the big leagues, like I want to sniff it. You know, I would love to just be there, right? But at the same time, if that's the bigger picture, I'm just gonna miss small little steps along the way. So if I'm able to just be where my feet are, everything should take care of itself.
Yeah, and that kind of gives me the question, like, what are you going to bring from the Braves organization that you want to bring to the Tigers organization? Like, what were some things that you took from there that you want to bring here?
Oh, man. Just honestly, like, just be the same guy. Like, it's not like anything like specific that I learned or, you know, anything like that. Like, just be a baseball player. I think it sounds simple, but it's also like that is what it is. Like, be a baseball player, show up to work every day, be a pro every day, no matter what. And just kind of like going about my day to day just like that. I think that's probably like the best advice that I got this year was like, hey man, like good, bad, or indifferent, just be a pro. And that's like, when you think about it, it's like, absolutely. Like that's now your job, be a pro, handle the ups and downs, go out there every day and do your job, or try your best to just do your job. So yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and so the entire process of being traded has to be a little bit interesting and odd. Like, you know, for the one hand, you're going from an organization that's a legitimate title contender to a team that's rebuilding right now, but you're also in a much better position to get playing time, and you're traded for like a legit good big leaguer. So obviously, the team that's trading for you, you know, likes you a lot. So I don't know, what were the emotions surrounding that?
It was definitely bittersweet, right? Like I'm not from Atlanta, but like I might as well be. It's one of my favorite cities. Like I love Atlanta, Georgia Tech, Midtown. Like I love Atlanta. So like obviously getting traded, everyone has that first initial feeling of like, dang, like I just got traded. But then as the feelings kind of evolve, you start really looking at the situation like, hey, like this is a better opportunity. Things are going to turn out better for me because of this. And you start thinking more positively. And even, you know, kind of from the get-go, like I was pretty positive about the trade, like especially when I saw who I was traded for. I was like, that guy's really good, you know. So just kind of like again, taking it day by day and like processing my emotions when it happened. Definitely a wild few days, but then as things started to calm down, I was like, okay, like this is a really good opportunity to go to a place that's on the up and coming, that's on its way up, and like really not do anything different or do too much, but like really just try my best to, you know, impact in a small way in an organization that knows how to win. So just being the same guy every day and just trying to contribute as best I can.
That's awesome. So I'm kind of curious to know, did a team break it to you first? Was it the Tigers or Braves, or did Twitter? Because we know how it goes sometimes in this business.
I actually heard from the minor league GM. I'm pretty sure that's his title. Minor league GM for the Braves. His name is Ben. So I got a call and I didn't recognize the number, so I declined it. So I'm like, I don't answer it.
Yeah.
And then I get a text message and it's like, hey, it's Ben from the Braves. Like, please give me a call. And I was with my dad at the time and I was like, I just got traded. And he's like, why would you say that? Like, and then I called, put it on speakerphone. My mom came downstairs. He broke the news down to me. And then it was just kind of like as a family, like, all right, like let's regroup. And like, okay, like you're going to Detroit. Like let's wrap our minds around it. And like let's start thinking that way and think positively about it. And you know, ever since the first 10 minutes, like we've been really pumped about what's going on. Like this is a great opportunity. I'm super excited. I can't wait.
That's awesome to hear. So I'm kind of curious to know as well, like, have you ever been to Detroit or Comerica Park? Like, do you have any experiences, whether that's college or anything?
No, nothing. The only thing that I really knew about Comerica was that it was a graveyard, and now it's normal from what so, like, I'm happy about that from a hitter standpoint. So that's about it from me knowing about Comerica, and hopefully, you know, I really want to know more about it. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, the dimensions there.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I'm saying it's not a bad park if you pull the ball. You just don't want to. You still want to stay away from the gaps and from center for the most part. Although you know if you like doubles and triples, you can still get some of those out there. But yeah, I mean they went from 420 to 410. It's not crazy different, but
Not crazy different, but definitely more doable.
Yeah, especially on the walls because the walls are being lowered in right center, so that's going to make a big difference. So you have your swing is very quiet yet low, which leads to just like as you swing, very explosive swing without giving too much away. How do you what's your approach at the plate? Just break down how when you attack the ball.
I can talk hitting all day. I'm a big hitting junkie and like the swing and all that. Like I'm very passionate about it. But like when I start getting in game, like I try and think like kind of like dumb. Like I try and dumb everything down. Like I'm at the end of the day, like I really just try and compete. Like that's really like what everything kind of comes down to. It's like it's me versus him. I think I'm a very good competitor. I'll tell anyone every day, like my BPs aren't, you know, I'm not hitting balls 450 feet in BP. I'm not going to put on a show in BP. But I think like when the game comes on, I like to say that I'm a very good competitor and I like to compete because I have fun competing. You know, whether you have success or fail, like that's kind of out the question. But just competing in and of itself to me is like fun. It's an adrenaline rush. And I love competing in the box. So I think that's kind of my approach, I guess. I'm not really thinking too much about where I want to hit the ball or like staying, you know, obviously you play the game the right way, right? If I feel like I'm really ahead on a pitcher, like I might aim my sights to right center field. But I'm not going to be stupid. But at the same time, like I want to catch the ball out front. I want to find the barrel. I want to compete against the guy 60 feet away. Like that's really all it is. So if I can just be a competitor in the box, I think that gives me the best chance to have success, especially over the course of 162.
So I'm kind of curious as well. Do you go through like a scouting report? Do you watch a lot of video pregame, or are you just like, let me just get in the box and see what he's got?
Definitely. I want to know what he has. Like, I think going into the box blind is pretty stupid, you know, to kind of say the least. Like, I want to know like what he's got, and then like cut it in half. I want to know the top 2 pitches he throws, percentage wise, and then other than that, like then it's just battling after that. So that's pretty much all I really want. I want the top 2 pitches. I'm looking for a location. I'm not really like trying to guess a location or where he lives at most of the time. I want to hit a mistake. That's really my job, right? Like my job really isn't to hit pitchers' pitches because they're pitchers' pitches. So like I want to hit mistakes. So if I'm looking in a certain spot, he throws it there, I want to hit it. So that's kind of my approach going into games and seeing, who's the guy on the mound, top 2 pitches, velocity. That's about it. I don't even like giving pitchers credit, to be honest with you. Like I don't really like, oh, he's got really good stuff. This is elite level ride. Like I don't like hearing any of that stuff. I don't want to hear from nobody. Like that's just me though. I don't like hearing it, but that's just me going into the box.
Well, so I'm kind of curious. This is like a two-parter because I'm curious who you've talked to from the Tigers. If you've talked to the new president Scott Harris, if you talked to the head of player development Ryan Garco, if you talked to any of those guys and what you guys talked about.
Oh yeah,
within reason.
Yeah. So I spoke to Mr. Harris. He called me right after I found out I got traded, welcoming me to the Tigers, and it was an incredible conversation and just very enthusiastic. Made me so enthusiastic about being here. And then talking to Ryan Garco, last week we were taking ground balls like for 4 straight days. I went down to the facility in Lakeland. Just picking his brain on like ground balls and how he wants me to go about it and just about my business and how to go attack baseballs and such like that. So, I've also had conversations, like I'm missing a whole ton of people. Right. But, again, I'm new, so forgive me, but like,
it's just good to hear that they've been in contact with you and been talking to you. And the reason I asked that was one of the things that Tigers fans got really excited about when Scott Harris was hired as the new president was he talked about getting players who attacked and controlled the strike zone. And so when the Tigers traded for you, everybody's like, "Oh, look at that walk rate, woo-wee!" Because for years and years, the Tigers have had players who would they'd rock like a 5% walk rate, and it's like, come on,
Chris, maybe maybe 3 if we're.
And it was just a kind of like an old school mentality. So we look at it and just hearing you talk about competing, it sounds like you're basically competing on every single pitch, and like it sounds like you don't want to swing at something unless it's basically something you can drive. Is that sum up your approach basically?
And I think that I don't even know if I want to call that an approach. I think that's just really how like baseball should come down to. Again, like I know nothing from nothing. Like I just go about my day to day. Like I'm just a regular dude, but like baseball really is like competing every single pitch. Like there really shouldn't be giving pitches away. You really shouldn't be giving an inch, right? Like, so like, therefore, like when I say like giving an inch, I'm talking like, I don't mind taking balls that are this much off the plate. Like, because in my opinion, I've always felt like strikes are strikes, balls are balls. I know like human error and the guy behind the plate, his zone could be different. Every inning could be different. Who knows? But like when I say like controlling the zone, again, like it kind of goes back to like me saying like I'm not, the sexiest BP guy, but like, this year I was fortunate enough, like I felt like I ran into 18 homers this year. Not to say that like power is like my game and I'm focused on power, but like, and that's not to say that I'm going to crush balls in the future. I have no idea. But at the same time, like, I feel like the reason why I was able to do that this year was because like I put myself into plus counts to be able to do damage. So again, like I can do damage behind in counts. That's fine. But like the more leverage you're able to put yourself in, the better off you're going to be batting average wise, slugging wise, OPS wise, like all your numbers just kind of go up, however they do when you just kind of control the zone pitch by pitch. Not to say I have any type of ingredient for success, but like I just think I feel like competing every pitch is just kind of the way that it should be.
Well, yeah, and that's the sort of thing that is invariant of like the competition level or anything. If you're controlling the zone and going after the pitches that you can hit, then that should travel. And that was one of the things I went and after they traded for you, I went and clipped together every single pitch you saw in AAA. It's up on our YouTube feed. It's like I don't know, like a 12-minute video or whatever. And like, yeah, it looks like you're pretty annoying to pitchers. I was like, oh man, it's like you're tough to put away, which is great to hear for Tigers fans.
That might be the coolest compliment ever.
Yeah, I would think that's.
Because it's to me, it just reminds me of what the late great Tony Gwynn said, and it's just a young player can have no greater luck than grow up in a place where you can practice and play every day year round, and that's what it sounds like you're doing, Justyn. You sounds like you're just going out there having fun, like you mentioned earlier, and just playing a game, and that kind of freedom allows to. I think just allows you to grow not only as a hitter, but you're also you're playing the outfield too a little bit too. So does that also? That doesn't change your mentality at the plate at all. When you go out to play a different position, it's still the same, right?
It's the same. It's the same. You got to be able to separate, right? So, most of the game you really are a defender, but like I'm pretty selfish with my at bats. Like my at bat is mine, and I want to optimize my at bat as much as I can. So, you want to do good in your at bats. Everyone wants to do good in at bats, but like definitely like being able to separate and whatever position you're playing, that's the position you play that day. It doesn't really matter. But like you're gonna hit 4 times, so 4 or 5 times. So like let's optimize those at bats.
I'm pretty curious to hear like where do you get some of these notes on hitting? Like, is it someone that you worked with in high school, college? Like, who really gave you these insights about controlling the strike zone, or has that just always been you?
In all honesty, like I feel like I've just controlled the zone, like just kind of like it was just kind of in my nature, just playing. Like I just kind of went out there and I swung at things that I felt I could hit, and I didn't swing at things I didn't feel like I could hit. And being completely honest with you, like even in high school and then in college, like I didn't understand. Like I always knew that I got on base a lot, but I never knew that on base percentage was even a good thing. I didn't know that was even really a stat that anyone looked at. All I knew is that like when he threw 4 balls, I walked, and that happened really often. So then like once, it was brought to my attention, like, yo, dude, like you really walk a lot. Like, what are you doing up there? And then like I kind of had to break it down myself because like when I was first asked that, I was like, I don't really know, bro. Like I really just don't swing at balls. Like I can't hit them, so I shouldn't swing at them. So I feel like that was just kind of like a really natural thing that I always had ever since I was really like a little kid.
Do you feel like the pitching at each level changes? Like, sometimes you get up there in a 2-0 count and they'll just throw you a get me over slider. Like, do you see that at different at any level, or is that just kind of been the common theme throughout the 3 levels that you've played in so far?
Definitely the common theme. Like everyone, I feel like in high A, like those pitches were thrown, but like in terms of like the percentage of execution, like it wasn't executed as much as like the levels go up, right? So like I feel like that's really the difference. I feel like in terms of stuff, like you can have a guy in low A have the same stuff as a guy in the big leagues, but in terms of execution, like that's probably like the small little difference, right? So as I started to move up, like Double A, I started realizing there was one week I was facing the Tennessee Smokies, and like I genuinely was like, I dissected all my at bats in my head, and I'm like, I haven't had a pitch to hit like in the heart of the plate in literally 5 straight games, and that just kind of goes to like, okay, like as you move up, like these guys are genuinely executing. Like there are no balls in the heart of the plate. You kind of have to be able to hit pitchers' pitches, or at minimum foul them off, right? So you can see a new day, right? See the next pitch. But as I like moved up, that's all I kind of saw. Like it was just guys that were able to execute more. There weren't as many balls out of hand. Like a lot of things were tunneled much better. So yeah, I kind of just learned that, like being able to just, I guess, go through the system last year.
So I had one last question for you, for at least from me, and it's something you briefly touched on there when you were down in Lakeland. You said you were taking grounders, and you were a third baseman by trade, but basically from Double A on, you were only in the outfield. And I'm curious what your preferred position is, what the Tigers have communicated to you, what they'd like you to play, and what you need to do to make that happen?
I love third, but like at the end of the day, like I just want to be in a lineup to help a team win. Like I really don't care. Like it's kind of nice knowing on my own mental now that like I'm able to go out into an outfield position and contribute in a decent way. Obviously, like growing pains, like everyone went through that. Everyone's gonna go through that, changing positions. But like I feel confident now that I could be a serviceable left fielder or a right fielder, you know, get more reps, things like that, to be able to just be a serviceable baseball player. Obviously, you know, preferred position, like sure, like I played third all my life, so sure. But at the end of the day, like if anyone needs me in left field, like let's go. Like I just want to, I want to go out there, make plays, and you know, give 4 to 5 professional at bats every night. So that's about it.
Interesting.
That's
So I wanted to know, what are some of the goals that you've been working on this offseason? Like, are you taking more fly balls this offseason? Is it more ground balls? Like, what are some of the small things that you're trying to work on your game so far?
So definitely the small things that I'm really working on is third base. Obviously, I didn't take ground balls for about 7 months because I was in the outfield. So just kind of getting back in the swing of things at third base, and just getting in my ground balls, getting in my throws. And then, you know, in terms of outfield, obviously it's extremely cold out in New Jersey, right? No one wants to take fly balls in 20 degrees. But like just doing small things in the weight room, right? Like agility, working on your fast twitch, just getting more explosive. And, you know, if I'm able to execute that and do that and have a successful off season, if I was to be put out in left field, I don't think that I would feel, you know, uncomfortable to be out there. But definitely third base has been like, I felt like I had to gain some ground just by especially missing 7 months worth of ground balls.
No, but Justin, thank you again for taking the time to talk to us this evening, and I'm sure that you can't wait for February to kick around when down the spring training and get out of the cold. It's 31 degrees here in Detroit, and it's snowing
About
all day
6-7 inches of snow today.
Yeah.
Like that?
Well, I mean, yeah, it depends on what part of. Well, I was thinking about like Western New York, New Jersey. It always gets bombarded.
Superstorm Sandy.
I don't know how bad your winter's been, but again, we're looking forward to seeing you on the field, and good luck this season, and hopefully we get to talk again soon.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
We appreciate
Good luck.
it.
All right. And recordings.